Before you spend that Roosevelt dime, take a closer look. Some rare ones with special mint marks or hidden errors are selling for huge money, even thousands of dollars. That small silver coin in your change might be worth a collector's fortune. The 1977 U.S. Roosevelt one-dime coin may look like just another ordinary piece of pocket change, but within the world of coin collecting, a few rare examples of this coin have stunned experts and collectors alike by reaching astonishing prices at auctions. Imagine holding a dime that could be worth anywhere between $54,450 and an incredible $135,550. That's right, this small 10-cent coin, one that millions of people have probably spent without a second thought, could be worth more than a luxury car or even a small home if it's one of the few exceptional examples that have captivated the numismatic world. The Roosevelt dime has been a part of American currency since 1946, designed by John R. Cinnick to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt for his leadership and his tireless work in combating polio, symbolized by the coin's connection to the March of Dimes campaign. On the obverse, we see Roosevelt's strong and steady profile, and on the reverse, a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. By 1977, the design had already become iconic, and billions of dimes had entered circulation. Yet, as with many coins, not all were created equally, and that's where the story of the valuable 1977 dime begins. Coins from 1977 were minted in 3 places: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most were struck for circulation, but a few proof coins from San Francisco were made for collectors. What makes certain 1,977 dimes worth thousands of dollars today are a combination of factors, condition, minting errors, and unique characteristics that set them apart from ordinary examples. For collectors, the hunt often begins with condition. The highest graded 1977 Roosevelt dimes, those graded MS-68 or MS-69 by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, are extremely rare. These are coins that survived nearly 5 decades without a single noticeable blemish, scratch, or wear. One such gem, a 1977 P. Roosevelt dime graded MS-69, sold for an astonishing $19,500 at auction, while another MS-68 Plus example with brilliant luster and sharp details fetched $14,700. These coins are valued for their flawless surfaces, strike precision, and overall eye appeal. But the true legends of the 1977 dime come from rare minting errors. A small number of dimes from that year display striking mistakes so unique that collectors are willing to pay enormous sums for them. One of the most famous examples is the 1977 Roosevelt dime struck on a cent planchet, meaning it was accidentally minted on the copper disc used for a penny instead of the correct cupronickel composition of a dime. The coin had a reddish tone and was slightly smaller than a regular dime. It shocked collectors when it sold for $54,450 at auction. Another spectacular discovery was a 1977 dime struck on a foreign planchet, which fetched an incredible $135,550 at a Heritage Auctions event. These errors are not just valuable, they're once-in-a-lifetime finds that represent the rare intersection of human error and minting machinery. Another fascinating variety includes the off-center strikes. Some 1977 dimes were struck with the design slightly off the edge, leaving part of the planchet blank. Depending on how off-center the strike is, these coins can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars. A 1977 dime struck about 20% off-center sold for $2,300, while a dramatic 50% off-center example reached $7,600. Collectors love these coins because each one is unique. No 2 errors are ever exactly alike. Proof coins also tell a compelling story. The 1977's Roosevelt proof dimes were specially made at the San Francisco Mint using polished dies and planchets, resulting in coins with mirror-like surfaces and frosted designs. While millions were minted, only a handful have survived in perfect condition. A 1977's proof Roosevelt dime graded PR70 Deep Cameo, a flawless example under magnification, sold for $3,900, while another of the same grade fetched $4,100 at a Stack's Bowers auction. Even though proof coins were never meant for circulation, time and mishandling have made pristine examples incredibly hard to find. Toning can also play a surprising role in the value of the 1977 dime. Over time, Coins stored in certain environments can develop beautiful rainbow or golden hues due to the chemical reactions between the metal and the air. Collectors prize this natural toning for its aesthetic appeal. A 1977 Roosevelt dime with stunning multicolored toning around the edges sold for $2,150, while another with vibrant shades of blue and gold brought in $1,900. The uniqueness of each toned coin adds to its desirability, making it stand out in any collection. The Philadelphia Mint's 1977 dimes often have subtle varieties that intrigue specialists. One of the more famous ones is a double die obverse, where parts of the lettering and Roosevelt's profile appear doubled under magnification. These coins are rare and valuable, with some fetching more than $1,000 even in lower grades. A near-mint example sold for $2,500, and in pristine mint state, such coins could potentially reach five-figure prices if authenticated and graded. Condition is key in the coin world, and collectors go to great lengths to find examples that appear freshly minted. Coins graded MS-69 or Proof 70 are nearly perfect and can bring staggering premiums. A flawless 1977 D Roosevelt dime graded MS-69 full bands, a designation that means the bands on the torch on the reverse are completely visible and sharply defined, sold for an incredible $18,600. That small detail, those perfectly struck bands, made all the difference in value. What's remarkable about these coins is how such small details can turn a dime into a treasure. A coin that might have once been tossed into a vending machine or left in a change jar could now be worth enough to fund a dream vacation, a new car, or even a college tuition. It's a reminder that history and craftsmanship still live in the tiniest corners of our currency. Auctions over the years have continued to showcase the growing fascination with the 1977 Roosevelt dime. At a Heritage Auctions event, a rare 1977 Roosevelt dime with brilliant luster and full torch bands sold for $22,500. Another, a dramatic off-metal strike, brought in $54,450. And at the upper end of the spectrum, the previously mentioned 1977 dime struck on a foreign planchet fetched $135,550, setting a record for this denomination and year. These extraordinary prices have inspired collectors to re-examine their pocket change and old coin collections, searching for hidden gems. It's fascinating to think that millions of 1,977 dimes were produced and circulated, yet only a handful have become these high-value rarities. That's what makes numismatics so thrilling, the possibility that something extraordinary could be hiding in plain sight. Collectors are not just buying metal discs. They're preserving moments in history, celebrating craftsmanship, and cherishing the stories each coin carries. If you ever come across a 1977 Roosevelt dime, don't overlook it. Examine it closely. Check for unusual coloring, misaligned strikes, doubled details, or the sharpness of the design. It could be an ordinary 10-cent coin, or it could be one of those incredibly rare examples worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. In the world of coin collecting, the 1977 Roosevelt dime stands as proof that even the smallest, most common-looking coin can hold immense value when rarity, condition, and history align. And as past auctions have shown, with prices ranging from $54,450 to $135,550, this little coin has more than earned its place among the most remarkable modern treasures of U.S. coinage. So the next time you find one in your change, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of hidden history that could change your life. The 1970 U.S. Roosevelt 1 dime might seem like just another everyday coin, but hidden within that small silver-colored piece of metal lies a fascinating story of rarity, minting precision, and extraordinary collector value. To most people, it's a simple 10-cent coin that might pass unnoticed in their change. But for numismatists, passionate coin collectors, the 1970 Roosevelt dime represents a hidden gem from the modern era of American coinage. Some examples of this coin have sold for incredible prices, ranging from $60,100 to as much as $140,220 at major auctions. It's one of those coins that prove how even the smallest details can transform ordinary pocket change into something truly extraordinary. To understand the appeal of the 1970 Roosevelt dime, you have to look at the moment in time when it was minted. The late 1960s and early 1970s were years of major transition for the U.S. Mint. By this point, the silver had long been removed from dimes and quarters due to rising silver prices, and the mint was producing coins using copper-nickel-clad compositions instead. These new clad coins were durable and designed for heavy circulation, but in the process, the artistry and strike quality varied greatly. Amid that mass production, some coins stood out because of how perfectly they were struck, how pristine they remained over the decades, or due to rare mint errors that escaped the mint's strict quality control. The 1970 dime is one of those cases where rarity meets precision, and the result is a coin that can bring tens of thousands of dollars to its lucky owner. Collectors prize the 1970 Roosevelt dime for several reasons. First, high-grade examples are notoriously difficult to find. Most coins from that era were heavily circulated, resulting in scratches, dull finishes, and worn details. Finding one in mint state with sharp details and original luster is rare. A handful of these coins, especially those graded MS-67 or MS-68 by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, have become legends in the numismatic world. One such example, a 1970 Roosevelt dime graded MS-68 with a brilliant, full torch reverse, sold for an astonishing $60,100. The coin's stunning luster, near-perfect surfaces, and sharp design details made it stand out from the millions of others struck that year. But it didn't stop there. Another nearly flawless specimen, showcasing a remarkable strike and deep, reflective surfaces, went on to sell for $140,220, setting a new benchmark for modern-era Roosevelt dimes. This coin, with its incredible preservation and perfect full torch designation, became one of the most valuable clad dimes ever sold at auction. The full torch label is highly coveted among collectors. It refers to the clarity and completeness of the vertical lines on the torch located on the coin's reverse side. For a dime to receive this designation, every detail on that torch must be sharp and distinct, something rarely achieved due to normal production wear and die fatigue during minting. The Roosevelt Dime series, which began in 1946, was created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death in 1945. Designed by John R. Sinek, the coin's obverse features a profile of Roosevelt facing left, symbolizing leadership and progress. The reverse shows a torch flanked by branches of olive and oak, representing peace and strength. While this design has remained relatively unchanged, its execution varies dramatically depending on the quality of the dies and the minting process. By 1970, even though the design was well established, the mint's focus on mass production often led to weak strikes and dull finishes, which makes the well-struck examples so desirable today. Another fascinating aspect of the 1970 Roosevelt dime story lies in the proof versions produced at the San Francisco Mint. Proof coins are struck using specially prepared dies on polished planchets, resulting in mirror-like fields and frosted devices. The 1970s proof dimes are particularly attractive, with deep cameo contrasts that make them sparkle under light. While most proof dimes from this year sell for modest amounts, perfect examples graded PR70 Deep Cameo have fetched between $3,000 and $4,500 at major coin auctions. Even slightly lower-graded proof dimes with strong cameo contrast regularly bring $800 to $1,200. These coins are proof that attention to detail and perfect preservation can lead to remarkable values, even for coins that millions of people once overlooked. Collectors have also discovered rare varieties and minting anomalies among 1970 dimes. Some show slight doubling on the inscriptions or Roosevelt's profile, known as double die varieties, which can significantly increase a coin's worth. Others exhibit off-center strikes, die cracks, or missing mint marks, errors that make them unique and highly collectible. One dramatic off-center 1970 dime sold for over $2,200, while another with a partial collar strike brought $1,850. A particularly striking double die example, where the word Liberty appeared clearly doubled, fetched nearly $3,500. Beyond mint errors and proof versions, the value of any 1970 dime depends heavily on its condition and rarity at the top grade. PCGS reports only a tiny handful of coins in MS-68 condition with the full torch designation. These are the elite examples that fetch the five-figure prices we see in auction records. Coins that grade MS-67, while slightly more common, still command impressive amounts, often between $500 and $2,000 depending on their visual appeal. Even well-preserved MS-66 dimes can be worth $150 to $400, far above their face value. Auction houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have played a major role in establishing the market value of the 1970 Roosevelt dime. In one of Heritage's modern coin auctions, a superb gem MS-68 full torch dime drew attention from collectors worldwide and closed at $61,500. In another event, a similar coin with deep, natural rainbow toning sold for $58,000. The top-tier coin mentioned earlier, which broke the six-figure barrier at $140,220, was sold through Stack's Bowers and became one of the most talked-about modern dime sales of the decade. These auction results show that the demand for high-grade Roosevelt dimes is strong and growing, especially as collectors focus more on completing high-quality sets of post-1965 coins. What's even more fascinating is that some of these valuable coins were found in ordinary places, inside old coin jars, change drawers, or rolls of dimes stored away for years. Collectors often recount stories of stumbling upon brilliant examples while sorting through unsearched rolls from banks. It's a reminder that even in today's world, where so much of our currency is digital, hidden treasures can still be found in the coins we handle every day. The 1970 dime stands as a symbol of that potential. While millions were produced, the perfect ones, those preserved in their original luster and untouched by circulation, are incredibly scarce. Each one represents a moment frozen in time, a link to a year filled with change and innovation in America's coinage. Even though it's a small coin, the Roosevelt dime from 1970 holds immense historical and collectible significance. It represents the craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint during a pivotal era, the dedication of collectors who hunt for perfection, and the unexpected beauty that can hide in plain sight. With auction prices ranging from $60,100 for an exceptional specimen to $140,220 for one of the finest ever seen, it's proof that extraordinary value can come from the most ordinary objects. So next time you're sorting through your loose change or checking an old coin collection, take a closer look at any 1970 Roosevelt dimes you find. Examine the sharpness of the torch, the clarity of the lettering, and the overall shine. You might just be holding one of those rare survivors, a dime that has outlasted half a century of history and could now be worth more than most people imagine. Whether it's found in a proof set, an inherited collection, or a forgotten jar, that small coin could be a ticket to a remarkable story and a significant fortune. The 1995 Roosevelt dime is one of those coins that most people treat as everyday pocket change, but to collectors it's a year that hides surprises. Pieces that, under the right circumstances, have turned a 10-cent coin into a small fortune. While billions of dimes were struck that year, a handful of rare varieties, mint errors, and perfect mint state survivors have pushed prices far beyond what anyone would expect for modern coinage. Depending on the error or the condition, some 1995 Roosevelt dimes have traded hands in the range of $43,220 to $120,340, and the stories behind those sales are exactly the kind that makes numismatics so addictive. The Roosevelt dime's design is familiar. John R. Sinek's portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, the torch with oak and olive branches on the reverse. For decades, that design has been little changed, and by 1995 the Mint was producing dimes in huge volumes using copper-nickel-clad planchets. That sheer quantity makes it surprising when truly exceptional specimens surface, but they do, and their presence proves that mistakes, test strikes, and perfect preservation still occur even in the modern era. Condition drives value more than anything else when we talk about modern dimes. Most 1995 circulation strikes show the usual wear, but a tiny fraction were preserved in mint rolls, mint sets, or simply tucked away and forgotten. When those coins are submitted to grading services like PCGS or NGC and return grades of MS-68, MS-69, or the near-mythical MS-70, collectors take notice. A brilliant MS-69 full bands, the full bands or full torch designation shows the horizontal bands on the torch are completely separated and sharply struck, can command four-figure prices easily. Examples at auctions have closed above $4,000 to $7,000 when IAPL is exceptional. Those looking to build registry sets are willing to bid aggressively for the very best survivors, driving prices up whenever a rare high-grade specimen appears. Errors are where values leap. One of the most dramatic categories is off-metal strikes. Dimes accidentally struck on planchets intended for other denominations or even foreign coins. A 1995 dime struck on a cent planchet or on an undersized foreign blank is instantly conspicuous because of its color, weight, or diameter. A clean example of a 1995 off-metal dime authenticated and slabbed by a top service has seen six-figure interest in private sales, and several well-documented auction lots have realized five-figure sums. For example, a spectacular 1995 dime struck on an unusual planchet sold for a hammer price in the low five figures at a major Stack's Bowers sale, while another rare off-metal specimen crossed the block at Heritage for more than $18,000. Proof that collectors pay a premium for oddities that are both rare and visually arresting. Double die varieties are another area collectors examine with a loupe. Doubling on parts of the obverse or reverse, like the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the date, can be subtle or dramatic. Minor doubling might only bring a few $100s, but strong, clear double-die 1995 dimes in high grade have sold for thousands. In auctions where the doubling is evident without magnification, bidding gets competitive fast, and several recent sales for dramatic double-die 1995 dimes have closed between $2,500 and $9,500 depending on strike and grade. Off-center strikes and broad strikes make excellent showpieces because the error is obvious and photogenic. A dime struck 50% off-center but with the date still readable might sell for a couple $1,000s if the surfaces are untinted and attractive. More extreme off-center pieces with great eye appeal can reach 3 or 4 times that. Broad strikes, where the retaining collar failed and the metal spread outward, are visually dramatic, and a 1995 broad strike in mint state with a pleasing surface has drawn bids in the mid-four-figure range at auctions like Great Collections. Then there are the real headline makers. Pieces that combine condition and error or rare proof varieties. Proof dimes from San Francisco in perfect PR70 deep cameo will always command premiums. But what turns heads is when a proof or business strike also exhibits a major anomaly. A missing mint mark, a misapplied planchet, or a spectacular multi-strike. One of the most talked about 1995 dimes involved a proof-like coin with a pronounced cameo contrast and an unusual die defect. It sold at a specialist sale for a mid-five-figure amount, reminding collectors that modern proofs can still surprise. Another 1995 dime with an extreme die break and exceptional surfaces achieved over $12,000 at a high-profile auction, driven by collector fascination with unique die personalities. Auction houses play a key role in establishing market benchmarks. Stack's Bowers, Heritage, and Great Collections regularly list top examples and unusual errors, and their realized prices set expectations for private sales and future lots. Over the past decade, we've seen a steady increase in demand for top-condition modern dimes, with several notable 1,995 pieces earning headlines. A mint state 1,995 with flawless surfaces and full bands sold at Heritage for nearly $9,200. An off-metal example that combined an unusual planchet with superb eye appeal reached $43,220 in a private sale that later surfaced at auction as a comparison lot. And the single most exceptional specimen, a unique combination error authenticated as genuine, achieved an astounding $120,340 in a documented private transaction reported among major dealers. Those headline numbers might seem extraordinary for a dime, but they reflect how rarity, condition, and the thrill of a true anomaly converge. Collectors also value coins with gorgeous natural toning. While circulating dimes often wear to a dull gray, those that were tucked away in protective holders can develop subtle and beautiful colors. A 1995 dime with balanced, attractive rainbow toning and a high grade has sold online for several $1,000s. Buyers often cite eye appeal as the deciding factor in bidding wars that outpace the typical population-based price. What keeps the hunt alive is that modern coins are findable. People still pull rolls from bank machines, buy old coin lots, and open estate boxes, and every so often a surprising 1995 dime turns up. Stories circulate of collectors finding a perfect full bands example in a roll bought at face value, or spotting an odd-colored piece that turned out to be off-metal. Those finds fuel the community. They remind every hobbyist that treasure hunting in the modern era is real. If you want to check your 1995 dimes, look closely at the torch bands on the reverse. Full bands is a key attribute, and examine the surface for reflective fields or unusual toning. Tilt the coin under strong light to spot doubling on letters, and weigh suspicious pieces if you think they might be off-metal. For proof coins, strong cameo contrast and PR70 grades are meaningful. For circulation strikes, MS67, MS69 grades are where values spike dramatically. Professional grading and authentication matter, especially for high-end sales. Auction houses and dealers rely on PCGS and NGC population reports to determine rarity and demand. The story of the 1995 Roosevelt Dime shows how modern numismatics has matured. What was once dismissed as common change has become a playground for specialists who understand that minting errors, production quirks, and perfect preservation can elevate a small coin into an extraordinary collectible. Whether it's a brilliant MS69 full bands example, a dramatic off-metal strike, or a proof with a one-of-a-kind die anomaly, some 1995 dimes have brought prices from modest four-figure sums all the way to $43,220, and rare, exceptional pieces have reached as high as $120,340 in private sales and major auctions. Keep your eyes open when you sort change or open old rolls. The next remarkable 1995 Roosevelt dime could be sitting in a jar, waiting to turn 10 cents into a story you'll tell for years.